We'll have 4 segments. Candidates will introduce themselves. We'll also have questions from journalists, also audience questions, and closing statements. If you are an audience member here, of course, at the Woodruff Art Center, we ask that you get your index card and your pencil to write down your question, and please list the name of the candidate that you want the question to be directed towards. Now, please welcome the candidates for Mayor of the City of Atlanta. Next up, we have Keisha Lance Bottoms, most recently represented District 11 on the Atlanta City Council and served as Executive Director of the City of Atlanta and Fulton County Recreation Authority. She has helped grow the city's reserves from $7.4 million to nearly $150 million in just over 5 years and has helped balance the city's budget each year without increasing taxes. 2 minutes, Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Good morning, Atlanta. I am Keisha Lance Bottoms, and Atlanta is a tale of 2 cities. I am the only candidate who has lived and worked in both those places. My father was an entertainer by the name of Major Lance. He was a wonderful man, and at 8 years old, I learned that sometimes wonderful, good people make bad decisions. I came home from school to find my dad being led away in handcuffs. My life changed forever. But my grandmother used to tell me all things work for the good of those who love the Lord. That very challenging time in my family's life really is the reason I stand here today. What I saw around me was a community, a beloved community, that showed me that there was something much bigger in my future than visiting prisons on weekends across this state. It showed me that there was a path for me to graduate from Frederick Douglass High School, Florida A&M University, Georgia State University College of Law. And as fate would have it, I went on to serve on the bench in Fulton County as a judge, alongside the very man who prosecuted my dad for his criminal offenses. Atlanta is still a beloved community. I have 4 children. What I want in this city is for it to be the beloved community for them that it was for me. But it cannot be if it is not for each of your families and your communities. That is why I am running for mayor. There is a future much bigger than all of us. And this election is not just about those of us who will vote today. It's about decisions that we will make for generations to come. I hope to earn your support.
Keisha Lance Bottoms. Mary Norwood has been a member of the Atlanta City Council for more than 11 years, representing at-large Post 2, where she helped to establish initiatives in the Fulton County court system and has been an advocate for work opportunities for homeless and underemployed Atlanta residents. Mary Norwood.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Rashad. I am delighted to be here with V103 and WAOK. Your service to our community is invaluable. Black radio is one of the most important outlets that we have in the country. I grew up with black radio. I worked for a radio company that had an entire string of rhythm and blues stations on the air back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. WCIN in Cincinnati with Jack the Rapper. WVOL, where Oprah Winfrey worked. WLOU, where Monica Kaufman worked. And Wild Radio in New Orleans. And our stations were wonderful and served the community, so I'm delighted to be here. I have served the city of Atlanta for 25 years, either as a community advocate or as an elected official. It has been important work to me. I have been protecting communities and preserving neighborhoods for 25 years. That's what I want to do as your next mayor. I want to restore the trust of the community in city government. It is frayed, it is not where it ought to be, and I have had the honor of having served the city. I want to make sure that I deliver a responsive, accountable, transparent government so that every single community in this town is safe, is clean, is sustainable, is affordable, and is prosperous. It means a great deal to me to make sure that every single citizen in our town receives the attention and care that they deserve, from our youngest students and children to our seniors. I will be the mayor for all of Atlanta, and I hope to serve you next year.
Mary Norwood.
Welcome back to the People Station V103 and News and Talk 1380 WAOK. This is the Atlanta Mayoral Forum. We want to say thank you to our radio audience as well as to those viewing by way of Facebook Live, and thank you to the live audience we have today. I will conduct this second segment, Q&A. I'm Rashad Richard, the midday host for WAOK. I provide political commentary for V103. I hold a PhD in political science and am a university professor. My colleague, Maria Boynton, is the morning news anchor for V103 and WAOK. She joined CBS Radio Atlanta following 20 years of covering presidential campaigns and the Georgia General Assembly for several years. Before joining CBS Radio Atlanta, Maria spent more than a decade as an anchor and producer at the CNN radio network. Maria has earned many honors, including 2 Peabody Awards, 2 DuPont Awards, and various Associated Press Awards in Georgia, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Candidates, this segment, you will have 1 minute to answer the question. If you invoke the name of your opponent, 30 seconds will be given to that opponent to respond. So choose your answers wisely. Maria Boynton will ask the first question.
Good morning to each and every one of you. The first question concerns housing. Of course, we know displacement is a big issue in this city. The median family income in the city of Atlanta for whites is $82,000, and for blacks is $26,000. The cost of a 2-bedroom apartment rental in Atlanta ranges from $949 to $1,719 per month. A person, family, would need a yearly salary of $37,960 or at least $18.29 per hour to afford the least expensive rental. My question to you, and we'll begin with Mr. Amon, what is your definition of affordable housing and your plan to increase affordable housing in the city? Ms. Bottoms.
Thank you for the question. When we talk about affordable housing, we also have to talk about workforce housing, not just about people who are making minimum wage, but we have to talk about our school teachers and our police officers and people who work at the post office. That is why I introduced legislation asking the city of Atlanta to create displacement-free zones. We saw the first zone rolled out, Vine City English Avenue, and what that does is a public and private partnership. It has created a fund that helps offset rising property taxes and also gives money to people to help fix up their houses. That is the type initiative that we have to have throughout this city, and I look forward to expanding that throughout this city as mayor, because if this city is not affordable for people across the spectrum, then we have lost the very fabric that makes Atlanta great.
Thank you. Ms. Norwood?
Well, there's several things. Number one, yes, we need to work with AHA, with the Housing Authority, for that very low $15,000, 30% AMI. Secondly, we have examples of affordability in some apartment complexes in the city that have done a great job of having their apartments, their complexes clean, having them safe, having daycare on site, and so we need to replicate that across the city. If you can do it in a few places, you can do it in a lot of places. Third, we need to have workforce housing where you can get closer to where you work, and I want to see an employer-assisted workforce housing program so that the people that are at low income, and every industry has them, can get closer. It will help us with transportation, with our traffic congestion. It will help them with their transportation cost and with their housing cost.
This group has been called extreme. They've even been called a terrorist organization. Some say they are the voice of a generation. Let me begin this question with Kwanzaa Hall, and we'll go to his right and then come back to Vincent Ford and his left. Kwanzaa, what are your thoughts about the movement Black Lives Matter?
Yes, I support Black Lives Matter. I support every movement all the way back to when I was growing up in the 60s that supports equality and justice and fairness for everyone. I want to make sure that as the next mayor, We have community policing. We have our police officers embedded in the community, which is why I have served as co-chair of the Code Enforcement Commission and went to the state capitol to make sure that the houses that we could never get our hands on will be able to be recycled and have police officers, firefighters, teachers, and city workers be in affordable housing in our communities. That will go a long way toward making sure that every single person and every life is honored in this town.
Frederick Douglass said almost 150 years ago, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Power concedes nothing without a demand. And I am so very happy to see that the power structure has been challenged by young people. I have 4 children, 3 of whom are African-American boys. My oldest is 15. And I'm very glad that he has an example of young people who are agitating the establishment, who are asking for change. What I would like to see more of, just as there was with the civil rights movement, now that the voices are being heard, that we have a responsibility as a generation a bit older to make sure that we are providing guidance and structure so that when voices are heard and change is asked for, that we know what the tangible asks are. Because it's important that we be responsible leaders, and I'll talk more about that as it relates to our marijuana legislation.
Thank you.
Smith. This is segment 3 of our mayoral debate this morning. We're going to now have our audience questions. We have had cards that have been passed out. Questions will be read by audience monitors Derek Bozeman from News and Talk 1380 WOK and Gerard J. from the People Station V103. There will also be some social media questions that we'll pose to our candidates this morning. Let's start with you, Derek Bozeman.
All right, these questions have been sent forward, so they are not mine. Let's just make sure that we see that. And they've been directed to specific people. Keisha Lansbottom, what specifically are your plans to provide more positive opportunities for young people?
Thank you. I think there has to be a collaboration with the city specifically so that we can expand opportunities for young people. I worked tirelessly to make sure that all of our recreation centers were open. Now that they are open, we have to fortify the programming in those recreation centers. We also have to extend opportunities not just to our young people, but to families as a whole. So we are providing tutoring, if we are providing summer employment for young people, it's not enough if we are still sending them back home into chaos. That also means that we have to provide job training, we have to provide GED classes, et cetera, social services where needed so that we can round out our families as a whole. But the most important part is that our young people have access in their communities where they have access to expand their employment opportunities and also fortify their education opportunities.
Well, this goes to everybody, starting with Mr. Amon. Given the high racial climate in this country, a listener from our live stream would like every candidate to declare their party affiliation, Democrat, Republican, Green Party, or other.
I'm Keisha Lansbottom. I'm a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, and I think it's important that we have this conversation, especially as we talk about this race, because we can't talk about Republicans and Democrats without talking about the policies of Donald Trump and the impact that it has on our community. Whether or not it be related to sanctuary cities or the policies at a local level related to racial profiling, it's important that we know where people stand and that we don't hide behind where we stand. We should all proudly own our party affiliation and all of the values that go along with it. That is why I am very proud to say that I am a Democrat, and I am the only candidate who has publicly called upon our national legislatures to explore the impeachment of Donald Trump.
And I'm Mary Norwood, and I am a lifelong independent. I have never been involved in either political party. I've never been a member of either political party. My love is in the community. My love is in each neighborhood and each individual in this town. And so what I want to do as your next mayor is what I have done through 3 terms as your city council representative, and that is to care about each and every community. I have been protecting communities and preserving neighborhoods for 25 years. I will do that for every single citizen in our town.
I'm Kathy Willard. I'm a Democrat, too. I've been a delegate to the Democratic National Convention. I've worked on social justice issues at the Capitol here in Atlanta and in Washington my entire career. Let's be really clear. When Mary Norwood said she's an independent, she may be an independent, but the people who are backing her are not. This city, give me my time. Can I have my time?
Yes, thank you. Audience, please.
This is a 20% Republican city. Those voters are clustered around Mary Norwood, and they want to steal the jewel in the crown. Let's be very, very clear that if we have a Republican mayor, we won't be mobilizing Democrats in the governor's race, opposing gerrymandering, or any of the other things that are important to us. I'm Kathy Willard. I'm a Democrat.
May I respond?
Yes.
Hold on, wait, guys. Let's give Mary Norwood an opportunity to respond to that.
I just want to say that I am enjoying support from citizens all across the city. We have 3,500 yard signs across the city, and they are in every single NPU, every single council district, every single zip code. We have gotten contributions from every single zip code, every single council district, every single NPU. My campaign is inclusive of every single person in this town. That is the way I will govern this city.
Mary Norwood, what plans do you have to ensure that black businesses are the beneficiaries of city contracts?
Well, I will make sure that we keep the MBE program, the Disadvantaged Minority Program, at the airport, in the city. I have been a strong proponent of making sure that everyone has equal access, and that includes all of our minority vendors. I will have a task force of minority contractors and other engineers and architects, along with non-minority architects and engineers and contractors, that will look at our procurement code and figure out where there are glitches, i.e. the bonding capacity, where smaller firms can't compete, which directly affects minority firms, and other glitches that are in that procurement process. And then I will take their recommendations. As I have met with vendors across the city, many, many minority vendors, they want a level playing field. I will give them that.
We'll be back for our final segment after this, right here on News and Talk 1380 WOK and the People Station V103, the ATL's #1 for hip hop and R&B. Our Mayoral for 2017 continues right after this. And we are back for the final segment of our 2017 Mayoral Forum on News and Talk 1380 WOK and the People Station V103, the ATL's #1 for hip hop and R&B. I am Ryan Cameron from the Ryan Cameron Morning Show with Wanda Smith, along with Rashad Ritchie from News and Talk 1380 WOK. For this final segment, we have some random questions that have been presented to our candidates who are on the stage with us right now: Peter Amon, Keisha Lance Bottoms, John Eves, Vincent Fort, Kwanzaa Hall, Caesar Mitchell, Mary Norwood, Michael Sterling, and Kathy Willard. They have not seen these questions. They will pick them up and read them, and then how long do they have to answer?
They have 1 minute.
1 minute to answer. So we'll start. Keisha Lance Bottoms, you'll read your question and give us your answer, then your closing statement.
Thank you. If you had a chance for one do-over in your life, what would you choose? And I would say if I could guarantee that I would get to be the mother to my 4 wonderful children, I would have adopted my children sooner. My mother always says that old people don't have any business with young kids, so I wish that I had had the opportunity to give them a little more of my youth as a mother. But I'm very grateful to be their mother, and I just wish that I had done it sooner.
And now your 1 minute close.
I started off by talking about Atlanta being a tale of two cities. And as we look at what's happening across our country and across our world, we cannot leave this election up to chance. We have an opportunity in this city to lead on a national and a world level, and we can't sit home and sit by idly and wait for someone else to lead us as a city. This is our moment. I talk about Atlanta being I talk about a horse and buggy moment as it relates to my great-grandparents coming to Atlanta, children of former slaves. There was opportunity in this city. There's still opportunity in this city, but it requires great leadership, and it requires someone who's thinking about not just today, but the next generation. I am running for mayor because someone thought about me. Someone thought about me as an 8-year-old girl and made it possible for me to stand here today. I ask that you join me in leading us into the future and leading us into the greatness that we already know that we have as a city. Thank you.
Mary Norwood.
My question is, who is the most important person in your life? All of us who have spouses or partners or significant others know that the right answer for this question is my husband. And in my case, it's because Felton Norwood was a pediatrician in this town for 40 years. He nurtured children, he nurtured families all over this city. His daughter is now following in his footsteps. She is a pediatrician in East Point, and she serves children and families all over this city. It's a really wonderful calling. I am running to be your mayor because I have been serving in a different way citizens all over this city for 25 years, protecting communities, preserving neighborhoods, and enhancing people's quality of life. I want our city to be run where there is trust in the government, where it is accountable, it is transparent, it is responsive, so that everyone has the quality of life they deserve in this town. And that means affordability, that means sustainability, that means beauty, that means cleanliness, that means mobility, that means all of the things that we all treasure, so that every person and every family and every company, every business can thrive in this town. That's why I'm running for mayor, and I hope to be your mayor as the 60th mayor of the city of Atlanta. Thank you.
Let me do this. Timekeeper, give me 20 seconds for this question. We live in the greatest civil rights city in America. Lately, there seems to be a re-embrace of white bigotry, white nationalism, and white supremacy, protected by the President of the United States. What are your thoughts about Trump? Let me start with Kathy Woolard. We'll come down. 20 seconds, please.
I abhor any racism, any bigotry, any violence, any supremacy of any type. So I am absolutely opposed to any policies that reinforce that 100%.
Hold on, wait a minute. But Ms. Norwood, what do you think about Trump, President Trump?
We have a president. I am telling you that I do not support those policies. I am saying to this audience that I do not support any policies that are bigotry, that are racism, that are in any way related to...
Hold on, audience, please, calm down. Thank you. Audience, we're not doing that. Calm down. Thank you. Ms. Norwood, will you finish with your response?
I am finished.
Okay.
I want to just say ditto to everything, except for what Ms. Norwood said, or didn't say. I think that Donald Trump needs to be impeached. It's easy as that. I have advocated that, even though people are saying they're the only person who have advocated that. Go on my Twitter feed.
Time.
Hashtag impeach Trump.
Time. Ms. Norwood, since he did mention your name, would you like to respond?
Mr. Ritchie, we have a president. I may not like the president. I may not support the policies that are in this country and that are being promoted, but we have a president. This is what happens in this country. That election stands. If people wish to impeach the president, they wish to impeach the president. But I, as the next mayor, will be committed to getting the most I can get for Atlanta in financial resources, from every single part of the governments in this country.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Bottoms.
The impeachment or removal of Donald Trump is more important than 120 characters. That is why I have previously publicly gone into detail about the need to impeach him. I think that we should all be concerned as we may be watching the rise of Hitler.
Let's have a round of applause for all of our candidates for participating today. We want to give acknowledgement to the Georgia Coalition for the People's Agenda and Committee for a Better Atlanta.
We have a lot of, hold on for a second. All of these are greatly qualified individuals. Can we get an agreement that if you make a runoff, will you come back to V103 and WAOK to talk back to the citizens of Atlanta? Can we get an agreement? Thank you.